Welcome back and happy Tuesday, Heat Seekers. We are here with some mid-season awards. We're going to talk about some guys in Dynasty that we think have done an excellent job, a superb job, or maybe not so good. We're going to have a little fun with it tonight, so make sure you drop some comments in there and throw in your opinions as well. We do appreciate that. Smash that like button. Do all the things we normally tell you to do. Mr. Leone, how are you tonight, my friend?
I'm doing very well. Thank you. Hope you guys are doing well also. And I'm excited to be here tonight.
Mr. Sullivan, what's happening in the Great White North?
You know, I'm starting to think maybe it's me, but I can't make a trade in any of my leagues to save my life. I've offered up a leg, an arm, pretty much everything today. And I've been unsuccessful in making any trades. But nonetheless, it's Tuesday night, and this cures all that ails you. So happy to be here. Let's get at it.
Yeah, it'll be a fun night tonight. So we are talking our mid-season awards. So we're going to be talking about our picks for Rookie of the Year so far, MVP, biggest risers, biggest fallers. It'll be a fun show. If you have questions, throw them in the chat. Like always, we'll get you answered up here, and the crack team of geniuses here will give you our knowledge and bestow upon you all the wisdom we have. And with that being said, Rookie of the Year. All right, so far we're halfway through the season. Mr. Leone, who is your Rookie of the Year and why?
So this one was hard for me to choose. And I think one of you guys probably picked the guy who I was debating between. But I decided to go with Najee Harris of the Pittsburgh Steelers, running back. I mean, what can we not say? He's averaging almost 20 points a game. And, for dynasty teams to be able to just plug in a guy who's going to get you 20 points every week consistently, I mean, you can't find it anywhere else. And of this rookie class, he is just in that respect phenomenal. For me, it was close between another guy, and if you're watching, you probably think who I'm thinking of. I don't want to give anything away, but with the positional scarcity and being able to find, a streamable tight end or a streamable wide receiver or quarterback, it's almost impossible to find a running back who can give you this much production week in and week out. So for me, it's Naji by a hair. He also went to high school, 20 minutes from where I live now. So, hometown.
You ever sleep on the floor of your house?
I would. He can come over, watch my kids, so I can play some Call of Duty. I'd be down with that.
I didn't say that you invite him over to watch your kids for you. I said sleep on your floor.
Oh no,
that was a pretty solid tweet, though. Hey,
that was some quality.
So they're going on about
material.
him sleeping on the floor in college, and he's like, "I didn't sleep no damn floor. I slept in my bed." It was awesome.
Where do you come up with that stuff? Hey,
Who knows?
what? Fun fact: this guy slept on a cot on the side of the road. Like, what? What are you talking about?
It's really hard to argue Najee, though. Hey,
I mean, I think I put up all the great talking points on what makes him the MVP.
Yeah, I'd like to think it's more what Najee. I think it's more what Najee has done than the points that you raised. But I do believe that
it's
tough to argue.
He willed it. Yeah, I mean, you can't
argue him.
The guy's close to 1,000 yards already with what's been a kind of a suspect Pittsburgh offense. It's been so up and down in the passing game, so he's really been the offense. It's run through him, which is, when you go back to Tomlin's comments early on in the offseason, like he wanted the offense to run through a running back. I don't necessarily think he meant it this way where Ben's, chucking wobbly passes short of his receivers, 30 yards down the field. But however it gets there, I mean, Najee's been spectacular. Now, he was a bit divisive, going into the season. There were some folks that almost you kind of loved or hated him, but he's been spectacular. I mean, definitely a top-notch player. And I don't know that we'll have to worry about that. None of us will ever have to retire. I'm not sure Anthony said anything wrong in his life. Just going to put that out there. Mr. Sullivan, who is your Rookie of the Year so far?
It should come as no surprise, but my rookie of the year is Atlanta Falcons tight end Kyle Pitts.
Who?
Now, yeah. So Kyle Pitts has been up and down this season, and I totally understand that. But when you consider what he is, a rookie tight end in this league, and the numbers that he's putting up historical numbers already. So you've had two other tight ends finish as a top 12 tight end since 2010. Rob Gronkowski did it in 2010, and Evan Ingram, did it in 2017. Gronk's 16-game pace, he put up 156.6 points. Ingram put up 173.6 in 2017. Gronk, 9.8 points per game. Ingram, 11.6 points per game. Kyle Pitts, through 8 games this season, is putting up 12.6 points per game. So, again, to positional scarcity, if you can land that Travis Kelce-esque type tight end that you have on your roster for years to come, you are in good shape. So, I think there's 3 guys here, and Brad, I'm pretty sure you're going with the third one that could absolutely lay claim to this award. And I think things will wash out towards the latter part of the season. But when you consider the position that he plays, which is arguably the hardest to transition to in the NFL from college, and the pace that he's at, he's my rookie of the year.
Well, and we talked about it in the offseason. I know I bust your balls over and just because of how excited you have been about him, but I think there was only one other tight end that wasn't it Butkus that had like 1,200 yards receiving as a rookie, but otherwise nobody's really been that high. I mean, Pitts is on pace to break 1,000 yards.
It was Mike Ditka.
Sorry, not Butkus.
Ditka, and I don't know when it was. It was like leather helmet era almost.
Or something, yeah.
12 touchdowns or 16 touchdowns in 12 games, something crazy like that. And then Jeremy Shockey, I believe, is the modern day sort of pace to measure himself by, but he's looking at passing both of those metrics. So,
well, and I would venture to say, I mean, the tough thing is I would venture to say, what can he do to top this? So this team has had to focus on him because of ineptitude of other players in the running back position. I mean, obviously Cordero stepped in and taken over the running back position, but he's had to become a bit of the focal point of the offense. And then with Ridley leaving, he's been it. I could easily see him surpass 1,000 yards this year as long as he's healthy and continuing up this pace. And I mean, he puts himself in a historic category doing something like that as a rookie. So.
Yeah, and that's why I like him, and I also like Najee here as well, because they're kind of are their entire offense right now. Like if you watched that game last night, imagine it without Najee Harris in it, it would have been horrific. And Kyle Pitts, for the most part, I know that there's a little bit of splash from Tajay Sharp and Olamide Zacchaeus or whatever the hell his name is. You can help me pronounce things, Brad. You do a good job at that. But hey, he's my choice. I hope Rick doesn't retire, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think my biggest issue with that pick is that it's wrong. No, is that Pat Freiermuth has 4 touchdowns, rookie tight end. I mean, you can make the argument Pat Freiermuth is the rookie of the year over Kyle Pitts.
No, you couldn't.
Oh, sure you can.
How? I mean, just because he got 4 tight ends or 4 touchdowns?
He has 4 times more touchdowns than Kyle Pitts. And we're talking about mid-season rookie of the year. So I'm not talking about, hey, who's going to have the better career, who's going to, whatever in that. If you took Kyle Pitts in your rookie draft, what pick did you take him? 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3. If you took Freiermuth, I mean, you're getting at a second. But you would get him in the second round, maybe even third round, and he has 4 touchdowns. So I don't really see the argument for Kyle Pitts at all, but I appreciate Sully sticking to his guns. I do appreciate that.
I mean, Anthony's rebuttal is awesome. I love it for sure. Pitts has been spectacular when it comes to catching the ball, running the ball, getting a ton of yards. He's become the focal point of this offense. Freiermuth is nowhere near the focal point of the offense. Though he was my favorite tight end in this class, I will not argue that. As much as I like Pitts, I've been a Freiermuth fan for 2-3 years now. So I definitely like that he's starting to produce because he was much more attainable. People were able to get him second round in most formats, minus tight end premium, obviously. So I don't hate it, but Pitts is insanely good and insanely athletic. Like, his athleticism is off the charts. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if they just made him a receiver because he's that good. Freiermuth never going to be a receiver. I mean, he's never going to be a wide receiver. He's a tight end. He's a very good tight end, but Pitts is a different.
He had
different
2
player.
touchdowns last night, right?
Yeah.
He did, yeah, against Chicago. Yep.
Scored twice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So half his tight end
4
production is in
touchdowns
one
for Pat
game.
Freiermuth. Just want to write that down.
Well, and Freiermuth hadn't really been getting targeted as much up until the last few weeks when Big Ben realized he's smart.
Ebron got hurt. That's helped. Ebron got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Juju got hurt. So they're kind of running out of options in the passing game.
Oh yeah, and ultimately, I mean, you guys both had.
They only have Chase Claypool and Deontay Johnson and Najee Harris out of the backfield. They got weapons all over that offense. So for him to score some touchdowns when they get the ball down there is impressive. But Kyle Pitts gets them to the red zone. So I don't think that him and CP are about the only 2 things that are working in Atlanta right now. So I think Pat Freiermuth is a bright future and is a great young tight end. But to put him in the same class or to even have the audacity to put him above Kyle Pitts is pretty short-sighted and Neanderthalish, in my opinion.
Mid-season MVP Rookie of the Year. Mid-season.
Right, so listen, it doesn't. I mean, I'm going to take a page out of the Rocks book. It doesn't matter what either of you said because my Rookie of the Year is the Rookie of the Year. I mean, how can you really say anybody is a stronger case for this than Jamar Chase? Dude is like number 2 wide receiver in fantasy behind Cooper Kupp. And in a normal year, I mean, he's arguably one of the top fantasy receivers, if not the top fantasy receiver in production so far. 44 catches, 835 yards, 7 touchdowns. Hasn't been all in one game, 1 touchdown, 2 touchdowns, 1 touchdown, 1 touchdown. I mean, he's evenly producing at a very good pace. Now, obviously, last week against the Browns was a bit of a stinker and only had 6 for 49. Targeted 13 times.
Dropped a couple.
He dropped
only dropped 2 touchdown passes in that game.
But on top of that, coming into the season, people thought he was a bust before he even touched the regular season because of how the preseason looked and him getting up to speed. I'm not saying I was one of those people.
I don't know.
People
that
were
was
out
just
there.
that was just foolish.
That the audacity of people to say that in the preseason is just outrageous. But in the end, these are all 3 very good options, and I think in the end, Jamar Chase is probably the Rookie of the Year when it comes to fantasy because this isn't going to stop. I mean, Najee shouldn't stop and Pitt shouldn't stop either. But if he keeps up this pace, I mean, you're looking at 1,600 yards receiving. And, he probably isn't going to have 14 touchdowns. But I would say 10 to 12 touchdowns is attainable at this point. He's facing the Raiders after the bye, the Steelers, Chargers, and the 49ers could be a little tougher. Then he's got Broncos, Ravens, Chiefs.
49ers are not tough at all.
No.
Their passing defenses.
How many does he have now, Brad? Touchdowns?
It's pretty bad.
He's got 7, 835 and 7 through 9 games.
I think 10. I think 10 is about as hard as falling out of a boat and hitting water for him at this point.
Easily. So 10 to 12 is kind of where I felt comfortable with as I was thinking about tonight's show. And then, easily 13 to 1,500 yards. I mean, should be attainable unless he has more 6 for 49 stinkers, but I don't see that happening.
I can't argue against Chase. I think that is a solid pick. There's really nothing wrong to say. Again, the reason why I went with Naji was just for positional scarcity. We already went over that. But I can't make an argument against Chase. He's been phenomenal. And anyone who doubted him is looking foolish now. So
yeah. And and that's the funny thing. In some of the leagues, we go back and forth when we talk about you hear people say 0 RB or things like that. But if you have talented receivers like the Chases of the world, I mean, if you have 2 or 3 high-end type receivers, who cares what your running backs look like if you can trot them out on a weekly basis? I mean, think about the guy who's got Kupp or Chase. I mean, if you had Debo sneaking in your depth on your run, I mean, you've got 3 of the top 10 receivers. I mean, are guys that 2 of the guys you thought were wide receiver type 1 talents, and Debo and Kupp, and then Chase. I mean, think about what your roster can look like. You don't have to have stud running backs if you're loaded at receiver, and there's so many good receivers in the NFL right now. You know, when we're talking about our tiers each week, you know, and Craig and I record the videos, I'm like, guys, we're easily putting 10 to 15, 16 guys in our wide receiver 1 or higher tier. It's like not all these guys are going to be wide receiver 1s, but they have the ability to do it.
But I will interject real quick. In deep rosters, you're 100% correct. You know, if you have, you know, 3 wide receivers, 2 flex, you know, like a lot of the Roto Heat leagues have, like, I agree with that. But I'm in a lot of leagues where it's like, hey, you only have 2 running back, 2 wide receivers, and it makes the running back position way more valuable. So
you can, yeah.
So everything you said is right, but if you are in a league that doesn't have as much flexibility as deep of rosters, then running backs do have that positional advantage.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's plenty of leagues where you can build it in a way where those, and it needs to be evened out. I mean, there's importance to that. I definitely know it's relevant. But you know, either way, the wide receiver groups in fantasy right now, I mean, they're just so talented. So Jamar Chase it is. Mr. Sullivan, did you have anything you needed to add?
Not a thing.
And I do want to throw an honorable mention. Micah Parsons, Dallas Cowboys, probably the best rookie.
How about that Trayvon Diggs guy?
Wrong show,
He's
Brad.
not a rookie. Not a rookie.
Not? Oh yeah. See, I don't
play
play IDP. I have no idea.
He's finally shown up, but he's not a rookie anymore.
There you go.
All right. So we went from rookie of the year. Let's just go to the MVP. So who is your fantasy MVP so far? And looking at our picks, I know that we all looked at it a little bit differently. I know I looked at it a little bit differently. But Mr. Sullivan, who is your MVP thus far?
My MVP thus far is Cooper Kupp, wide receiver for the Los Angeles Rams. He has already outpaced his entire season last year, in which he finished as wide receiver 26. He sits atop of the wide receiver rankings. Him and Matthew Stafford finish each other's sentences. One is the peanut butter, what is the jam in that sandwich, sleeping in bunk beds in LA. They are totally in sync, and I don't see this slowing down. It's not like Kupp has had a bad game and a bunch of blow-up games. He's just been consistently amazing each and every week. And in my opinion, he's the most valuable fantasy asset in the league in Dynasty this season.
Everything you said made me think Step Brothers as soon as you were saying about how they're peanut butter to the jam. And I was like, oh, so they're best friends? Yep. Leone, what do you think about Kupp? I mean, that MVP, is he MVP quality?
I think that's a great pick. I do. If you have Kupp, you were not expecting this, and you're loving every second of it. Mm-hmm. Before the season, I thought Woods was going to have the edge with Stafford and his ability to throw the ball, you know, further down the field. But Kupp has just shown, you know, he can do underneath, he can go long, he can do kind of do everything, and it looks like Stafford, you know, really trusts him to get him the ball. So I think it's a great pick, and I don't have any gripes about this one.
I just saw Craig's comment. Had to post it. Sorry. Go ahead. Anthony, who's your MVP thus far?
Yeah, my MVP is the second highest scoring running back this season, Jonathan Taylor, Indianapolis Colts. Started the season a little slow. Everyone was a little scared. You know, how's this going to work out? But it seems like every week he just keeps getting consistently better and better and better. And, you know, you could make the argument for halfway MVP of the year as Derrick Henry. I mean, even though he's probably not going to play the rest of the season, I think you could make the argument. He averaged over 24 points a game. Jonathan Taylor, though, is pretty close. 20.7 points per game. He's currently the second running, and actually Derrick Henry did that with one less game. He's still.
I'm about to say the funniest thing is he's still the leading rusher.
Yeah,
and he's still got, like, you know.
So you know you could make the argument as Derrick Henry as the midseason MVP. I think for a redraft show, it'd be easier to do that than a dynasty show, because in dynasty it's like, hey, look, yeah, he had a great first half, but who can really take this beyond? Kupp can do that, and I think Jonathan Taylor easily can do that years on end. So for me, again, with the positional scarcity, and maybe we debate that, but for me, it was Jonathan Taylor, hands down. And while I do like
Can you make an argument?
Go ahead.
Can you make the argument
I don't know. You cut out.
You cut out, Sully. One more time.
Sorry, guys. Can you make the argument for Austin Eckler to be the MVP at the midpoint?
I think you can, although he has been a little more inconsistent. I recall
because he averages 0.1 fantasy points per game behind.
Well, if he averages 0.1 fantasy points a game, then no.
No, you're cutting out again, Sully. I do think you could make the argument though for Eckler. The reason for me for Jonathan Taylor is just because of his age and knowing that, hey, look, this guy is going to be a stud, likely a stud for, you could project easily 5 years out, I think. So for me, it's Jonathan Taylor.
I mean, the nice thing about
the only reason,
go ahead.
Sorry, I'm cutting out. I don't know what's going on, but the only reason I made the point of Eckler is he's 0.1 points per game behind Jonathan Taylor. So I think he's got to be in consideration if that's your MVP. And Cooper Kupp is almost 6 full PPR points clear of the next wide receiver behind him. So just thought I'd throw that in there.
I think it's fair.
I think the one thing going for Eckler and this is kind of the direction I took when I made my pick, is he's doing things that we didn't necessarily see him do in previous years. Like he's doing a very effective job running the ball. Typically you saw him out of the backfield a lot as a receiver, but he's doing well rushing the ball. 101 carries, 479 and 5 on the ground with 36, 325 and 3 through the air. I mean, he's doing a very good job. So I don't hate that argument with how kind of clear in a way Derrick Henry has been, even though he's on IR. I would agree that he's probably the best consideration for fantasy MVP so far through the first part of the season. But I looked at, in my mind, it was who's doing something that's just so unexpected, and that's why I went with Debo Samuel as my kind of midseason MVP, because nobody expected him to be, what is he, like wide receiver 3 or 4 overall? I mean, most folks liked him.
Yeah.
Nobody really had too much negatives to say other than he just needed to stay on the field and stay healthy. Well, he stayed healthy to the tune of 882 yards and 4 touchdowns on 49 catches. I mean, he's doing very well. I'm not going to say, by the season's end, he's probably not in this boat. I would say he's probably not a, MVP by the end of the season. My guess is he probably hit somewhere around 1,200 yards and maybe 6 to 7 touchdowns is kind of what my gut tells me, just because, other guys are getting healthy. Brandon Ayuk's getting a little more involved. Does Kittle come back and really start to get back into game shape and get rolling? Some of those things make me think Debo might lose a little because they had to focus on him because they didn't have anything else that was really getting the big plays and doing some of those things. So Debo's been my MVP through the first half of the season. Could be biased just because I'm a big Debo fan, but he's doing more than I anticipated he would do. Give him to me, MVP halfway through. I know, Anthony, he's on your team, so I'll start with Sullivan. Sullivan, what do you think about Debo?
Well, you guys kind of treated me like a human pinata when I brought up Kyle Pitts for my rookie of the year, so I'm going to return the favor. I don't even know how Debo's on your radar. Your rookie of the year is more of an MVP than your MVP. But he's having a nice season. There's no doubt about it. He's averaging a little over 20 points per game. Again, 6-ish points behind Cooper Kupp. You guys brought up Derrick Henry as well. Cooper Kupp is also outpacing Derrick Henry in terms of points per game. So I don't really know what to say other than I think this one is mine. Anthony?
At least I have the positional scarcity argument.
No, you don't.
That's gonna be the
analyst
of the night.
Did you see all my picks? They're all running backs.
Scarcity.
So on Debo, real quick, I just want to say May of 2020, in the 6th round of a startup, I took Debo Samuel ahead of Stephon Diggs. And by the end of last year, I thought, man, did I really just get this wrong? Like, how did I let Diggs slip? How did I take Debo there? Because at the end of the year, I like to do evaluations, and try to see what I can improve. But man, I mean, it's just, 6 months later, it's like, oh yeah, of course, this is why I took Debo first, But yeah, no.
Stephon's better. Let's just put it out there.
No, Dynasty?
Stephon's a better receiver.
Dynasty.
Debo's in a better situation.
Dynasty?
You want Debo Samuel over Stephon Diggs in Dynasty. You would rank him higher than Stephon Diggs. Yeah.
100%. 100 easy.
Wow.
He's like 5 years younger. Easy. Not even a question.
Why do we fixate so much? Why do we fixate so much on age and dynasty? Like that's
Ask
the be-all and
Julio
end-all.
Jones. Ask Julio Jones while we
Ask
fixate on
Antonio
age.
Brown before he got hurt.
That's right.
Ask Julio
And
Jones.
exactly. He got hurt. Exactly. That's why.
And how old is Stephon Diggs, Anthony?
27.
I'll find out right now.
Right. And how old
27.
is Julio Jones,
Hold
Anthony?
on a second. Hold on a second. Let me find out.
Come on, man. Let's
Stephon
go.
Diggs' birthday. Hold on.
He's 27 years old. Debo's 25.
And how old is Julio Jones,
No,
Bradley?
timeout.
I think Julio's hit
Diggs-
50.
Diggs is
So
28.
Julio Jones is what, 30? Yeah.
Diggs is 28 in
No,
20
yeah.
days.
Okay, so he's 28 years
Today
old.
he's
28.
27.
Dude, come on. He's
How
28.
How old is Julio Jones?
31.
2? I think he's 32.
30?
I think he's 30. I think he's 31.
Somewhere between 30 and
So
40.
he has. So Stephon Diggs has 5-ish more years before he's
No.
the same age as.
No, and he's already.
He doesn't?
No,
He doesn't.
because Julio Jones. You're saying, well, Julio Jones is 31, 32 right now. Julio Jones hasn't been the same guy in 2 years. So
Right, go back 2 years. Where did Julio Jones finish 2 years ago in
look,
Dynasty?
if you have a wide receiver who's 28 and you can trade him as the top wide receiver right now, you do it right now. You do it right now. You don't hold on to him until you lose value, like with Julio Jones. Don't do
Anthony
it.
usually went back down to 0 for this one, is what Rick's saying.
Seriously.
I mean, you know,
If I'm doing a startup,
I'm
Debo
okay with,
over
I'm
Diggs.
okay with Najee.
I wish we were
as
in
the
leagues
rookie of the
together
year,
and I
but
had
that is nuts.
Debo. I'd trade him for Diggs right now.
I do it right now.
I would do it in a
right now.
heart.
I would do it right now.
We do it live.
on air. I would do it right now.
We do it live.
Give me a third.
I
No,
don't.
I'm playing.
I mean,
Ridiculous.
this guy already trying to get picks
Ridiculous,
out of it
especially
too.
when you factor
No,
in.
the way you're talking,
Especially when
I
you
get a
factor
third
in their
with it.
quarterback.
I would do it. Honestly, straight up. I'd rather have Debo over Diggs.
Diggs really
All right,
should
before
be
we lose
at the
all
top.
the people that have spent their time to join us, let's move on. This is
Well,
nuts.
but Diggs should be at the top as a wide receiver. I mean, Buffalo's offense has been kind of all over the place. Like Diggs is an amazing talent, and he's sitting, I think it's like a wide receiver 2, like a low end wide receiver 2 right now. It's really strange, but the NFL's been weird this year, so it doesn't surprise me. All right, so we're giving MVP to Sullivan because he needed a hug after.
No.
the Pittsburgh chatter.
MVP was not mine. MVP was not mine. I fully admit that.
Who would you have given it to?
MVP? Or sorry, Rookie of the Year?
Yeah. Oh no, yeah. Well,
Chase.
that's what I'm saying. That's why we gave you MVP because
MVP, yes. Rookie of the Year, no. Okay.
we're on the crazy train. All right,
Okay.
biggest riser in value. So far this season, who's been the guy that's moonshotting? And we'll start with you, Mr. Leone.
For me, it's DeAndre Swift. I think a lot of people before the season started were kind of not sure about DeAndre Swift. You know, there were some rumblings that, Jamal Williams was going to be the lead back, or they were going to really split time. And even after week 1, it was like, oh, they're both kind of getting in there. But from that point forward, it has just been Swift, like everywhere. So he's averaging over 18 points a game. He looks like a stud. I mean, I think you could put Swift now in top 5 dynasty running backs, maybe. I mean, he's up there, right?
Yeah.
And preseason, he wasn't anywhere close to that. I mean, I guess it's all relative. You could say he's maybe fringe top 10, but now he's pretty much locked in as a top 5 dynasty running back. And so I think that even though it's only like, 5-6 spots, that's real estate. I mean, those are, way more significant when you're at the top compared to someone moving, 20 spots from down below higher. So for me, it's Swift.
With this offense, I mean, it has to be Swift as one of the bigger risers just because of what happens. But we got to cut into this because we got somebody over.
I was going to say, no one cares what we think about Swift right now.
We got way more important things to handle. Our boy Derek Just coming in with a 1999 super chat. Thank you, my friend. We do appreciate it. We got a question to answer. Full PPR and everyone else that's got questions, we will get to them after we're done with the main topic. It's coming up, I promise.
Unless you want to make it rain.
If you make it rain, we shut up and answer it. All right, full PPR. Someone is trading CMC. Should I trade Kamara and Hopkins for CMC and Chris Godwin? My other running backs are Fournette, Jacobs, Pollard, and Hunt. Do I take the risk of CMC to stay healthy? Anthony's shaking his head. So what is
No,
that?
I'm trying to like
Oh, you're
just get everything processed because I don't want to give him, bad advice.
So Kamara and Hopkins for CMC and Godwin. And don't worry, nobody needs to see your face anyway. Just duck back down. Don't act like
I'm a yes on this one.
CMC and Godwin.
I think you're upgrading both positions. And I hate to say that because I really like Hopkins, but I don't think he's quite right. And that's a tough thing to get better mid-season.
I would do this.
I'm fine with it because Godwin is an upgrade over Hopkins, and CMC and Kamara. I think CMC is an upgrade if everybody's healthy and everything's even. But I think CMC is going to be back, and he's had some time to heal up. So I don't hate this trade. And if he isn't, you've upgraded your receiver position, and you still have plenty of other. Fournette's an RB1. Jacobs is very serviceable. Pollard, Hunt when he comes back. I'm doing that trade all day, Derek.
Yeah, I would do it. I'd rather have CMC and Godwin as well.
And just an FYI, everyone else in the chat agrees as well. Rick's on the yes. Our boy Ray's on the yes. I'm doing that trade. So, Derek, it sounds like a smash accept if you can get that owner to buy into it.
And we don't agree on anything, so that was that.
If everybody on the Rotary team is agreeing and the chat as well, that's a good move for you. So, good luck. Hopefully you get it. If you have other questions, let us know.
Right.
Thank you guys. We do appreciate showing some love in the super chat. That's always huge and much appreciated. We work hard to try to serve you guys, so appreciate it. I like
the Deandre Swift call.
Yeah,
I do.
Swift is good.
Now, if you looked at preseason Dynasty rankings, there were a lot of folks that had him up in that 5, 6, 7 range in Dynasty rankings, and I think he's where is he now? Like 6 or 7 or 8 or something like that, in one less game played, 9. So I definitely think that his value has increased. I don't know if he's the biggest riser, but he's a riser, no doubt about it.
It's tough with the riser category because, you can look at the preseason stuff, but in my mind, it's when I was trying to think about this question, it's like, okay, where did the community as a whole kind of have this person? So I went with Stafford because people were kind of up, kind of down on him. They really weren't entirely sure. They liked the move from Detroit to literally anywhere else, which I did for him as well. Great talent. But he's exploded. I mean, he's done extremely well with this offense, stayed healthy, even though the offensive line's, he's been getting hit a bit. When I thought about this, I thought of maybe like 5 or 6 guys. I'm like, well, we could put all these guys in this category. So I don't hate anything of what's going on in this. And no, Ray, shut up. It's not a homer comment. Like, I wanted Stafford out of here as badly as anyone else because he deserves better than what Detroit was giving him. So he's my biggest riser.
And we started with 2 Lions.
We did. It's the Lions chat,
What's going on?
Because somebody's got to talk about him.
I think Matthew Stafford has done an excellent job, and he is why I was made the correct selection of MVP. Is a big reason why is Matthew Stafford's play. I don't know if I'm going to put him as a large dynasty riser, and I hate to say this because Anthony's going to bring it up before I do, is he's a little older than the average cat out there. But I think I had Matthew Stafford in the mid-teens.
Argument, no.
I had Matthew Stafford in the mid-teens as my dynasty rankings entering the season, and he would be a top 12 guy right now, but not by a lot. There's just so much good young quarterback talent in the NFL right now.
I agree.
It's tough to get him in that top 12.
I mean, I think he's moved up a little bit, but I don't think he's moved up enough where, his value really changed that dramatically. That's all.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when you were looking at things after last season, he was a high-end QB2, maybe in Dynasty, maybe a low-end QB1. This guy.
I don't think he was a high-end QB. He wasn't a high-end QB2 until he got out of where he was, right? Like, he was probably a mid QB2 where he was.
You think so? Okay.
I do.
I wouldn't argue that. The guy's easily in the top 5, probably, 5 to 10 range, I would guess at this point. And for a quarterback who is 33, will be 34 February 7th for Anthony, who likes to up it a little bit and move right to their older age.
Quarterback is different.
Round up.
He's still got, probably 5 years if he stays healthy, right. 5 to 6 years.
Let me see when his birthday is now.
You're right. We look at that style of quarterback plays later in their career. So I'll give you that. That's very valid.
That's fair.
I'm not saying, on this, so far, I think Sully's guy probably gets it when we get to his guy. If you want, you can go now.
Okay. I'm actually thinking of changing my guy, but I'm going to stick with him because you guys have actually changed my mind during the course of this show. But my guy, my biggest riser is Najee Harris. I looked at him as sort of a high RB2 at the beginning of the season, and what he's done in a rather putrid offense behind a horrific offensive line with a geriatric quarterback whose backup is better than he is pretty remarkable. And I think if Najee can continue this pace and he can continue putting up 20 points a game, he's in consideration for, with Jonathan Taylor and a select few others for the 101 in a startup next season. So I don't know if you can go much higher as a riser than that. So I think it's Najee Harris. And the guy I almost switched to was Jamar Chase because of where he was to where he is now. So, but I'm sticking with Najee Harris.
So to Rick's point, I could not in good faith say him because I'm not sure he's really relevant next year this time, right?
Yeah. Rick, the redraft shows tomorrow.
Yeah, redraft. I was going to say redraft is Wednesday night.
Sully's bringing the heat. Hi, Slim. Welcome back. Glad to see
Slim.
you.
Yeah, no,
hey,
he's just
Slim Day.
Cordero Patterson is just for a dynasty riser. I mean, he's had a great season, but you can't really trade him. Because he's what? He's 31. Probably 32 soon. No, so look, he's a great, it's a great story. It's a great season. And yes, he was free. Actually, It's kind of funny. I went on to someone showed me I was trying to do a trade earlier today and they showed me some dynasty trade calculator thing. And I pulled up Cordero Patterson to prove a point on there. They had him at 0. Like they literally still didn't have any value for Cordero Patterson on this website. They clearly it's
don't
true.
Update things.
Yeah, they don't update things. So be careful about those calculators. But
and my question back to Rick, I don't discount. He's been way above what anyone would have expected. But is he playing next year at a level like this?
No. I think if we had a mid-season breakout player, it is absolutely CP without a doubt. Because to Rick's point, he was free and now he's, arguably, depending on what platform you're playing on and what position he is, he's an incredibly relevant dynasty, fantasy, redraft, whatever format you're playing in. He's incredibly relevant. It's kind of like Jalen Hurts for me. Like Jalen Hurts is QB3 right now, and I really like him. But I don't even know if Jalen Hurts is a starting quarterback next year. So I don't really know what Cordero Patterson is either. I'm assuming he's on a 1-year deal in Atlanta. I'm assuming someone will pick him up. But this isn't the first team that's tried doing this with this guy. Like, it just seems to be working there. So I don't hate what Rick is saying, but I just don't think you can't even consider him in the echelons with the individuals that we discussed, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough for me when I thought about who to put as a biggest rise, because I had to think about who is this person going to be relevant? Because this is the dynasty show. Like,
right.
Tomorrow's a redraft. Like, in a dynasty format, I still have no interest in him unless I'm competing, because I know, or I don't believe that he's going to have the similar type of value next year. I mean,
he's really unobtainable too. Like to Rick's point, first value, you cannot buy him. Like you'd be foolish to give up a first for Cordero Patterson.
I don't agree with that. If I'm a contender and I'm a player away, I'm going to give you my first.
If you're a Cordero Patterson away from competing, you're probably a pretender. I'm being honest.
If I'm 20 points, what is he putting up a game right now?
I'm just saying, if you're
he's putting up 19 points a game,
dude. If you're that one piece away from thinking you're a contender, I have a hard time personally giving up a first round pick. I personally do. I could make the argument that he's worth it if I had him and I wanted to sell him. That's what I would ask. I don't think you're going to get it. I really don't.
But if I'm a Najee Harris away from being a contender, am I a pretender or no?
The difference with that.
No.
The difference with that.
Negative at this point.
The difference with that is if you shoot your shot with Najee Harris and you lose, you still have Najee Harris. But if you
Sure, but
shoot
I'm
your
trying to
shot
win my
with
I'm
Cordero
trying to win my-
Patterson,
So
next year you may not have anything.
play along with me for a minute here. I'm trying to win my championship this year, and I believe I'm a player away, and that player can be Najee Harris, or that player can be CP. Is there that much of a difference this season to put me over the top?
No, but if you're going to invest value into one of those assets, you want to make sure that
But
value retains.
flags fly forever, and the most overlooked season in Dynasty is the one that we're currently in. So to say that you're a pretender, and if you add Cordero Patterson, you're still a pretender, is ridiculous.
I would rather
Putting up
I would rather
19
pay
points a game.
I would rather pay 2+ firsts than 1 first.
I'll give you my first to win a championship every single season I ever play this.
If
I'll
it was
give you Sully's first to
guaranteed,
win too.
if it was
give you
guaranteed,
Brett.
that's one thing, but it's never
Damage,
guaranteed.
everything drywall.
It's not guaranteed, and you don't want to be burning first round picks like that because it's not.
I traded a
guaranteed.
first for Andy Dalton trying to win last.
Exactly
year.
my
Really,
point.
it doesn't
Exactly
matter
my
to me.
point. That's exactly
Doesn't
my
matter
point.
to me though.
All right, so that is the perfect lead into biggest decrease in value.
Andy Dalton.
Well, he didn't have any. So he can't be biggest decrease. I think we need to go back to what we both had because I think there is clearly only one biggest decrease in value, and that's Allen Robinson. I mean, I was talking about him as top 8, and I don't blame him. He is still amazing, and I hope he goes somewhere that will treat him right after the season.
He just had his best game of his season Monday. 68 yards.
That's basically one catch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything to argue here. I brought Antonio Gibson to the table because he was highly rated and he's had a tough season, and I think his value was dropped. And Anthony had Miles Sanders, and I think you could obviously make that argument as well. But I don't think we need to waste everyone's time. I think Allen Robinson is the biggest value decreaser and sadly disappointment this season. I think we're all high on him coming in, and he's just a victim of circumstance.
Ooh,
look at this.
Look at this. All right, so our Chicago friend, I blame him. He didn't work with Fields, and Mooney did. And Fields can really do no wrong, right? I mean, everybody's excited about the new savior of the Bears. So
was Allen Robinson working with the QB1, Andy Dalton? Is that what happened here?
he was working with Nick Foles, probably.
Nick Foles.
So yeah, I mean, so A-Rob definitely is the biggest decrease in value, and that's, I mean, Sanders. He's another one where I don't really necessarily know who to blame there. I mean, because that coaching staff has been so weird about how they deploy their backs, and Sanders has been hurt, and I mean, all sorts of just really odd things. So
I think injury was his biggest unfortunate circumstance, because it looked like they were finally starting to give Miles Sanders the work, and then he got injured against Vegas, and I don't know if we ever know now.
Yeah. And Rick says he was mad about being tagged, so he took his ball and went home. And he stayed home because he's not been helpful.
Good for A-Rob.
All right. So we have a couple questions we want to get to. Definitely. Well, we have some questions. I'm sure it's more than a couple. So we'll knock out a few questions. That was fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed us just kind of hitting some midseason awards. By the end of the season, it'll be interesting to see if we are even remotely close. I would venture to say Micah Parsons is probably a sure thing still, but we'll see. Different show, different time. First question, MD. We trade Gibson and Debo and a second for Kamara and Hunter Henry. I don't like it. My co-owner does. So Gibson, Debo, and a 2 for Kamara and Hunter Henry. Yeah. I'm not a co-owner type guy.
I've had some co-owner. I'm not in any right now, but I've been there, so I feel your pain.
Not touching that business.
Man.
I have a wonderful relationship with my co-owner.
Yeah, he runs your team for you.
Gibson and Debo in a second-round pick.
You should partner up with them then.
No.
To answer the question, I want Gibson, Debo in the second. That's the value I like. I think Debo and Alvin Kamara are relatively close in value. Gibson puts it way over the top. So for me, it's pretty easily on that side.
Rick doesn't like co-owners either. His co-owner, who happens to be in the chat, doesn't even start Lamar. Boo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. I'm loving it.
Brad, can you put that back up there for a sec? Gibson, Debo in a second for Kamara and Henry. Yeah, I think I like the Gibson and Debo side as well.
Yeah, I think so.
My co-owner and
so
I, by
you tell your
the way,
co-owner
are
to sit
sitting
down
in
and
first
quiet.
place. So
What'd you say?
I just wanted to point out that my co-owner and I are currently sitting atop the standings. That's all.
Oh, I don't know. I'm in the middle of a rebuild. I don't care what you're doing. I'm trying to fix the
Winning,
nightmare of a
Brad.
team
That's
I
what I'm
have.
doing.
Well, yeah, I'll make sure to thank your co-owner. What is Donovan Peoples-Jones' fantasy value after OBJ's departure? I think you're going to get very similar production out of him. I don't. This offense is so streaky when it comes to who's really producing that it's hard to trust DPJ as a wide receiver 2. I still think he's kind of a wide receiver 3 type value at this point until we see more. I mean, Baker's just not been progressing, and this team is all over the place. What are you thinking, Sully?
I'm thinking more wide receiver 4, to be honest with you, Brad.
So?
I think you still have a quarterback that can't hit an open wide receiver. And yeah, it looked good last week because he hit DPJ for 60 yards and a touchdown. And those plays will happen from time to time. But week in, week out, I still think that he's going to struggle for consistency. And I'd see him more in that wide receiver 4-ish range at this time. Anthony?
I don't own Donovan Peoples-Jones in any leagues, but this is the perfect trade opportunity right now to trade him in your leagues. You probably could get a second-round pick for him right now, which is phenomenal value considering you got him for
free,
third, fourth, maybe lower. So yeah, this is the perfect trade opportunity right now, especially after that big game last week that I just don't think is going to be consistent moving forward.
So there you go. All right, next up, Jacob Brady. Welcome, my friend. Would you trade Nick Chubb and Keenan Allen for Henderson, Jamar Chase, and Miles Sanders? I have Zeke as RB1 and Pittman as wide receiver 1. So he's the Chubb owner. So he would be trading Nick Chubb and Keenan Allen for Darrell Henderson, basically for Jamar Chase. I mean, really, because we don't know what we're getting in Miles Sanders and Darrell Henderson's in 1 year.
I'd rather
need to know the format,
and Keenan Allen.
Yeah,
assuming it's a 1 QB redraft. I mean, I'd rather have Chubb and Keenan Allen.
If it's a redraft, Chubb and Keenan Allen. If it's a dynasty, Chubb and Keenan Allen. I don't know that that's
scoring,
enough to get Jamar Chase.
But scoring matters so much here if it's PPR or half or whatever, because the Chubb Keenan Allen component is massively different in value in those formats. I don't know. I think
I'd rather have Chubb and Keenan Allen.
What format?
Any format. Any format. Unless you get extra points for players on IR. Then Miles Sanders.
If you take Keenan Allen's receiving points away from him, he's a wide receiver 3, Anthony. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, but Chubb and Chase equal each other out, right? So then you're just looking at Keenan Allen and Henderson, and it's easily Keenan Allen, even standard. So that's just the way my brain works. Miles Sanders to me,
I can't really answer it without all the info, but in a vacuum, assuming what I think, I would probably lean the Chubb and Keenan Allen side, but scoring is massively going to indicate which way I lean in this one.
So I guess in what format would you lean the other way might be the better question, just in case Jacob is either in the chat or pops back later and checks it out.
In a standard format, and I know a lot of people don't play that anymore, I would probably still want that side, but I'd lean a lot more to that side because Henderson's not a huge pass catching guy. He scores the touchdowns. And Chase is a big chunk guy. I know he's been putting up some good numbers, but he's not been producing based on receptions. He's been producing based on his 7 touchdowns. So standard wise, I like the other side almost as much as the Chubb and Allen side. Chubb really evens this thing out.
Okay. All right. So there you go, Jacob. Hopefully that helps. And if you're in the chat still, maybe give some more context to your league type, and that'll help us determine. But sounds like Chubb and Keenan Allen, at least in the current vacuum conversation. All right. So a question I want to pose is one that I've been getting asked a lot, and actually now have a league where I have to determine what to do about it. So I've got an OBJ share. OBJ is starting to become a hot topic for some folks. We don't know where he's going. You've heard rumors of Seattle and New England and all these other teams, the Saints and all that. What are you valuing him at? So tonight, tomorrow, in the next few days, he's going to sign with a team. What is your value on him? So the offer I got offered, this is a 1 QB. It's a full IDP league, so it's kind of evenly based. You start, I think you can start multiple running backs, multiple receivers, blah, 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 blah. Nothing crazy when it comes to scoring. I got offered. I'm drawing a blank now. Hold on, let me pull it up. I got offered. I know Devonta Parker was in the offer, and I immediately countered with something I wanted. Let's see here. The offer was Gabriel Davis, Devonta Parker, and a 4th. So this is a very deep league. So 4th round pick probably is a stash IDP player most years. So it's not super sexy of a pick. I immediately counter with Josh Palmer, Gabriel Davis in that 4th, because at least this team isn't quite competing, but this is a team where I had multiple picks the last few years, so I've been drafting young players. I've got Najee Harris, and I've got lots of quarterbacks and all sorts of other positions that I've been building up. So I'm receivers where I need to build it up. And next year I have like 2 firsts, 4 seconds, 4 thirds. I mean, I'm loaded in draft capital next year. Mr. Sullivan, I'll start with you.
So your initial question of where do I value OBJ?
Mm-hmm.
I think I value him still the same place I had him at the beginning of the season, and that was like a mid wide receiver 2. I don't understand all this blasphemy on Twitter about OBJ being a cancer and a this and a that and a problem. All he did was show up every day and watch his quarterback not throw to him or throw over his head by 10 to 15 yards. So I think if he's put into a system, so, he wants to go to Green Bay. If he goes to Green Bay, I think his value goes way up. He's in talks with Kansas City, New Orleans, all these other types of teams. So he's going to handpick where he goes. He's going to go to a good situation for him. And I think he has the ability. He's not going to morph back into 2018 OBJ, but he still has the ability to be a solid contributing wide receiver 2. I don't like that trade for you, Brad, even with Josh Palmer in it and without me having a clue of what those IDP values are.
Brad, I want you to, is this on MFL? This trade? I want you to log in right now and cancel any trade offer that you sent out right now. That's what I want you to do.
Dang.
By 24 hours from this point, his value is going to be higher. He is not going to go somewhere that is going to hurt his value. He wants to play for a contender. He wants a quarterback. Look at the teams he wants to go to, reportedly. He wants to go to Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson. He wants to get the dang ball, and he wants to show why he is I'm having a hard time saying this without swearing. So his value is going to be higher 24 hours from right now. And even if you want to trade him because you're rebuilding and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah,
wait.
I'm not going to win this year. Like, my team is not in competition for a playoff spot. I'm still a fringe team. I need receivers.
Just wait to trade him, because I guarantee it.
Just to help you out, I want to make sure that you understand he is going to be 30 November 5th.
I'm not buying him.
Oh my God.
I'm not buying him.
Stop the presses.
He's currently 29.
But if I had him, this is not the time to sell him. This is not the day right now to sell him. You got to wait.
I jumped in my group chats and I was like, "Hey, he's still on the block. I know people are getting excited."
I don't say this very often, but Anthony's right.
Yeah, this is not the time to send out offers. You wait, because I can almost guarantee he's going to be worth more in a day from now.
It sounds like Anthony is Brad's co-owner. I'm not too sure what's going on here. You have him log in. You have him
not even close.
Trade.
He will be traded for sure.
That's fine. You can trade him, just not right now.
I just don't understand all the OBJ as a problem.
Actually,
I don't get it. The worst thing this guy has done in his career is fight a kicking net.
That's funny. I
don't
know what day it is anymore. We've already passed it. He's 29. He's not turning 30.
Oh, yeah. He just had his 29th birthday.
Just had his birthday.
Yeah,
his birthday present was the lead.
Well, we can still round up. He's turning 30. I mean,
we're rounding up. In a year, it'll be 30. He's less than a year away from 30.
Yeah.
Debo over OBJ, clearly.
Easy.
That's true.
Easy.
Somebody, if anybody in that league,
yeah.
if you listening and you
Easy.
offer me, I will accept that trade
Easy.
in a heartbeat. Yeah, I mean, in my mind, I was trying to trade him for young pieces, hopefully young wide receivers, because right now my receiving core is rookies. I mean, Terrace Marshall, Nico. I have Tyler Johnson. I had stashed from last year. I had Henry Ruggs, obviously not going very well.
There are few places he could go where his value would decrease. Like Cincinnati comes to mind. Like if he won't do that, but Tampa. like yeah, exactly. Like there are a few places, but he's not going to do that. Like he's going to go somewhere to shine. I can't. Yeah, I just can't imagine his value being lower than it is today.
His camp made it pretty clear. Don't claim him on waivers, right? Like I think it was pretty evident that.
When they changed that contract, yeah.
He wanted to pick his spot. So, and he will, and he'll do well.
Well, that's my hope. And hopefully he'll do well for me and get me lots in return.
I hope so as well. We need to quiet this. I just really want him to do well simply because I wanted to quiet all the he's a cancer, this, that, everything else conversations. Like I said, the worst thing the guy's done in his career is fight a kicking net. Like, I don't know what everybody's all upset about.
Yeah, he
didn't disrespect anybody. He was disrespected. So anyhow, what's up with this question, Bradley?
Ray wants to know what is wrong with Kenny G. Was Stafford the only reason he was good? Well, I mean, when you go from Stafford to Daniel Jones and you're still hurt, I mean, I don't know that you can really. It's still a TBD. I mean, we haven't seen him enough, right? With New York,
Daniel Jones has a lot of problems in his game. The deep ball isn't one of them, but he can't throw it into the press box on a weekly basis. So until Kenny Golladay can get on the field, that's what's wrong with him. He's got chronic soft tissue injuries and can't play.
Yep, very true.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, Kenny's got to be on the field. We have to be able to see to even have a clue what to even do with him. I mean, not much you can do about that.
Yeah, he's also a guy not to sell right now.
Oh yeah, so he's not. I wouldn't even. Yeah, I would.
What do you think people would be buying him for?
Like,
what would people be looking to pay for him?
My guess is people probably offering twos. Would be my guess.
Yeah, I would say like a second. I guess.
I wouldn't take it.
I don't even know if I'd offer it.
Yeah, he's one of those guys you could buy. I mean, I wouldn't buy him for a second, but I think you could see him go for a
bag of balls. I mean, basically. Yeah. All right, Northern Border. Maybe somebody up by you, Mr. Sullivan. Do I need to hold on to Tyler Higbee anymore in redraft?
Probably. I mean, it depends if you have another tight end or not. I mean, I don't like holding on to two tight ends, but
yeah, if your tight end's past the bye week and Higbee's not your number one, probably not. If there's a better positional value out there on your waiver wire, right?
But Higbee kind of scored a touchdown Sunday, but his foot like barely went out of bounds. Like he kind of. I mean, he
did they give him the touchdown?
No,
then he didn't score a touchdown.
He should have.
If he had, if he had 4, he'd qualify for Rookie of the Year, Brad.
If he wore a smaller size shoe, it would have been a touchdown.
So the Rams haven't had their bye week yet, right? So you're eventually going to either drop Tyler Higbee or have to pick someone up to be able to absorb him on your bench. So I don't think he's a must hold on to. I think he's tight end 13-ish or something right now. So better than most, but I don't think he's a must have on my roster tight end. But it's more roster specific. And I know that, Anthony does a really good job of directing people to our Discord chat. This is a good one for that. So if you can get over to Discord chat, we have a redraft channel in there. Drop your roster in there, and we'll do our best to give you a little bit more in-depth
tag us, and we'll dive in and try to see what makes the most sense.
Absolutely. And with that being said, we're done, people. Tomorrow night, we are going to, on the redraft show, we're going to be seeing what we can do to help your losing team. So if you're 3-6 right now,
Cordero Patterson,
what do you do? Are you a Najee away? Are you a Cordero Patterson away? Who knows? But come back tomorrow night. Cody, Bryce, and I will be talking what to do with your 3 and 6 teams. Sunday morning, Rick and Sully and Bryce and Matt and the guys will be doing the Boom Rush show as always. Get your last minute start sits in, things like that. We always do appreciate you guys hanging out with and having the good conversations with us. Smash that like if you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you later.